Big thanks to our sponsors for this session, GeoComfort Geothermal Systems. Help your clients live the zero energy life. We're going to be talking about this project a little bit later on. But these folks here in Minnesota, with the help of GeoComfort Systems, have actually proven to live a verified zero energy life, meaning not a drop of gas or non-renewable energy to be used for all applications, even driving. So pretty remarkable. NetZeroMinnesota.com. Check out how they did that. All right, well, welcome everybody to Geothermal Heating, Cooling, and Hot Water Systems for LEED and Zero Energy Homes. This course is approved for 1 hour in continuing education units. LEED APH, NARI Green, Certified Green Professional, Certified Green Home Professional, AIBD, BPI, NonWholeHouse CEUS. And actually this course is also approved for AIA HSW, Health, Safety and Welfare, and that may make it applicable to your state-based design or contractor license. I'll be your moderator today and doing a little bit of presenting on this one. My name is Brett Little, and I am the Executive Director here at the nonprofit, the GreenHome Institute. So we're going to be asking some questions during this session. How does geothermal work? How does it benefit LEED for Homes program? And how does it help you achieve zero energy? We hope to help start getting some of those questions answered for you as we move through this session. So with that, I'm really excited to introduce Kyle Smith, who's going to be taking you through the remainder of this webinar. Thank you.
Awesome, thanks, Brett. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So today we're going to cover geothermal systems and how they apply to net zero homes / green homes / off-grid passive homes, etc. So really one thing that we've come to notice throughout our industry is that homes, the average home that we can help with is the biggest problem is space heating. So about 41% of that space of the home is the energy used, it comes from space heating. The second biggest one is your appliances, electronics, lighting, which are all pretty small. But then the water heating is actually the third biggest. So geothermal can actually help with your two biggest problems of the energy hogs of a home or facility. So that's where we want to go with today. So we believe in 4 steps, and we really don't sell insulation ourselves, but we truly believe that everything starts with insulation. A tight envelope is key, and we want to help a consumer achieve the smallest heating and cooling system available. And so we'll work with them to talk about insulating the envelope, handling insulation on what is a possibility from ICF, spray foam, etc., to help them make that load for their heating and cooling system substantially smaller. And then at that point, that's when we evaluate if geothermal is a good fit or not. Of course, we believe that it pretty much always is. But if we can help them by starting with insulation, we can actually make their geothermal heating and cooling system much smaller, which is going to help them in the installation cost, and then also down the road in replacement costs, and then obviously in savings on operation. And then 3, so since we followed those steps for 1 and 2, being insulation and geothermal, our third step is our PV solar array. And at that point, our load, percentage of energy load should be covered by much less panels needed. So, for example, if you're doing a roof application for PV solar, you should be able to put all of the array on top of the roof versus having to go to the ground. And the cost of installing the solar array should be much less. So since we've followed all 3 steps so far, when we get to home batteries, which is now, it's in the present, but technology and production in my opinion, aren't quite there yet. And every home, if you start with 1, go to 2, 3, and by the time you get to 4, the batteries will be ready to go for somebody to have a net zero home, and then even possibly off-grid. So, and I will throw out a reminder, is that in order for somebody to be truly net zero, propane and natural gas would not be able to be in the home. So therefore, we could eliminate generators, for example, with batteries. Somebody could even handle peak usage times with batteries. And then also, if you wanted to add enough batteries, you could also just be off-grid in general and incorporate, of course, insulation, geothermal, solar, and then probably add in a generator for those times of the year or days in a row where there's considerable cloudiness. But these 4 steps are pretty much what we'll be covering today. So how do geothermal systems solve the problem? We are about 400 to 500% efficient, and in some products, we're actually up to 600% efficient. And we are 200 to 250% more efficient than air source heat pumps. By installing a geothermal system, you're essentially taking 2 cars off the road. And I believe also another analogy is that we're planting an acre of trees with installing a geothermal system into a facility. Incentives? Well, behind us, we have a 30% tax credit on the federal side, and then for residential, on commercial, there's a 10% federal tax credit with, I believe it to be 100% accelerated depreciation. And then on top of that, there is tons of local incentives as well for the United States. So that leads us to part 2, and I'm going to take a pause here for just a moment.
Kyle, could you go back to that slide on the tax credit and just talk a little bit how about that, actually went away and now came back, and can it be applied to the past at all, and what does the future look like?
Oh yeah, right on. Thank you. Yeah, so the tax credit for geothermal actually ended at the end of 2016 for the United States, and it was a little bit of as an industry cliff by far. We started to see it come back at the beginning of this year, and really Christmas Day it started picking back up, and then we actually got the tax credit back here in, I believe, the beginning of February. And so what we have now moving forward is that we're going to be on the same path as the PV solar side, and we're going to have a full 30% tax credit until the end of 2019, and then we're going to start to fade out with 2020 being, I believe, I think it's 26%, and then 2021 being 22% or 21%, and then 2022 would be no more on the tax credit side. But we'll see if that actually holds true. Since we're kind of married to the solar side of it, we'll see if we can't get that continued to be extended in the future as well.
So just thinking about people their clients doing full-blown zero projects with solar and geo, is there a disadvantage to try to chase after, both the solar and the geo credit at the same time on the same project, or if you want to just punt that to the accountant, feel free to do so?
That's always the end of the conversation, is always talk to your accountant. But so I have had people ask those same questions, and a misconception on math would be that it's a 60% tax credit. It's actually not. It's 30% tax credit twice. And so it's 2 separate claims, if you will, on your taxes. But to the consumer, they get a 30% tax credit on the installation of the system itself, and what I say, it's the bottom of the loop to the top of the unit. So that's not supposed to include anything more. For example, ductwork or radiant floor heat or swimming pools or hot water systems. But a huge chunk of the installation of the system would be included in that. And then on the solar side is a little bit, in my opinion, from what I understand, to be a little bit looser, but it would include 30% of the or be the 30% federal tax credit on its installation, and then there is some other opportunities for those credits as well. And even Illinois, for example, just launched a really massive REC credit program for the solar side. So there's tons of, on the combination at the local level, lots of opportunities for incentives to help you get to that zero home.
What about property assessed clean energy? Can that cover geothermal projects, the PACE programs?
You know, to be honest, I am not very familiar with that myself, but I do know that we're part of it. But I'm not very familiar with it personally. But that's something we can do some research on, and in our follow-up email, that's what we can pass on to any questions that I or we may not know the answers to offhand.